Young and the Restless next week spoilers. Daniel gets a fresh start. Next week, Young and the Restless spoilers find Daniel Romalotti and his mother, Phyllis Summers, meeting with Billy Abbott. Billy's pitching an idea to them, and he says he would love both of them to join him. No doubt, he's decided what he wants his next business venture to be. And he hopes to bring Daniel and Phyllis along with him. However, Daniel is skeptical on Young and the Restless. He says when something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Phyllis, on the other hand, is excited and optimistic as usual. She asks them what corner of the universe they are going to conquer first. So, looks like Red is on board, but Daniel could take some more convincing. Hopefully, he gives it a try because Billy seems to genuinely be on the right track. And this brand new start he's offering Daniel Romalotti could be exactly what he needs so he can move forward on Young and the Restless. YandR spoilers. Jack clashes with Victor. While Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, tries to get Daniel Romalotti, Michael Graziadei, and Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, to go into business with him, tensions run high at the Newman Ranch. Next week, Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, shows up on Nikki Newman's Melody Thomas Scott doorstep. He tells her he just heard what happened with Jordan Howard, Colleen Zenk, and Ian Ward, Ray Wise. He says thank God she's okay. Also, on Young and the Restless, Victor Newman, Eric Braden, is out of the hospital. And he's expected to make a full recovery from his gunshot wound. But Jack's presence annoys him, and he asks him what he's doing there. Indeed, their rivalry is still going strong, at least on Victor's part. And of course, Jack won't back down and Nikki will be caught in the middle. Young and the Restless spoilers next week. Nate fesses up. Meanwhile, on YandR, Damian King, Nathan Owens, arrives in Genoa City and heads to Nate Hastings' Sean Dominic apartment. He wants to hear more details about the job Nate is offering him. Nate says before they get into business there's something he needs to know. He plans to come clean about meeting him under false pretenses and tell him that they are half-brothers. Most likely, Damian will be upset that Nate wasn't honest from the start on Young and the Restless. And he might lose the chance to get to know him. YandR is full of excitement next week. Don't miss a moment to see if Daniel Romalotti accepts Billy's offer on the CBS had barely peeked over the skyline of Genoa City, but Daniel Romalotti was already awake, staring at the ceiling of his modest apartment with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The past year had been a whirlwind, a maze of betrayal, heartbreak, and personal missteps that had left him questioning not only his relationships but his place in the world. For Daniel, the world of Newman Enterprises and family politics had always been a double-edged sword. It offered opportunity, but at a cost. And after recent events, Daniel was ready for a fresh start. It wasn't that the scars of his past were gone. Far from it. His tumultuous relationship with Lily had ended painfully, leaving behind memories that cut deep, like invisible knives. The fallout from Adam's latest schemes had nearly cost him his job, and more importantly, his dignity. But Daniel had learned something crucial. Life could knock you down, but you always had the power to get back up. And today, he decided, would mark the first day of a new chapter. The first step was accepting help. It wasn't easy for Daniel to reach out, not when pride had always been his armor. But he had called his father, Phyllis's ex, and surprisingly Jack Abbott answered. Jack's voice, steady and authoritative, carried reassurance. Danny, I know things have been rough, but you've got potential. And I think you're ready to prove it, to yourself, not anyone else. Daniel took a deep breath, feeling a weight lift slightly off his chest. Jack wasn't offering a handout, he was offering a chance, a platform to showcase what Daniel had always been capable of. The thought of working at Newman Enterprises in a role that wasn't just under his brother's shadow, but one where he could carve his own path, excited him and scared him in equal measure. The first day at the office was surreal. Walking through the glass doors of Newman Enterprises, Daniel couldn't help but notice how small the world suddenly felt. He was no longer the boy hiding behind the chaos of family drama. He was stepping into a role where he could influence outcomes, not just react to them. His first task was simple but symbolic, overseeing a project that had been stalled due to internal conflicts. A minor detail, some might say, but for Daniel, it was a chance to prove his reliability and creativity. As he settled into the rhythm of work, his mind kept wandering to the people he had left behind. The friends who had doubted him, the lovers he had hurt, and the family members who had been disappointed time and again. But he also thought of those who had believed in him, sometimes silently, sometimes loudly. Among them, one person's faith in him had never wavered, Daisy. Daisy had always been Daniel's grounding force. Where others saw him as impulsive or unreliable, Daisy saw potential. She had endured his mistakes with patience, never letting go even when the world around them seemed to collapse. And now Daniel realized he owed it to her, and to himself, to not only rebuild his life but to do it in a way that reflected who he truly was. That evening, Daniel returned to his apartment, exhausted but invigorated. He poured himself a drink, not the kind that drowned his worries, but a simple glass of water. He needed clarity, not oblivion. Sitting by the window, watching the city lights flicker like a constellation of opportunities, he made a list, a literal one. Goals, dreams, and steps he would take to reclaim his life. It was a mix of personal and professional resolutions. Regain his confidence, rebuild trust with friends, focus on his career, and perhaps most importantly, forgive himself. The next day brought unexpected challenges. Adam Newman had caught wind of Daniel's new role and, predictably, decided to stir trouble. A project Daniel was leading faced sudden scrutiny, with Adam insinuating incompetence and questioning his leadership. The office buzzed with tension, and Daniel felt the familiar pangs of doubt creep in. But instead of reacting impulsively, as he might have in the past, Daniel paused. He assessed the situation, weighed the facts, and responded, not with anger, but with precision. His plan was solid, his arguments airtight, and when the board of directors reviewed his work, the results spoke for themselves. It was a small victory, but in the world of Daniel Romalotti, it was monumental. The thrill of proving himself without falling into the traps of past mistakes ignited a fire within him. He realized that the key to his fresh start wasn't erasing the past. It was learning from it, using the lessons to navigate the complexities of the present. Meanwhile, outside the office, Daniel's personal life began to mirror his professional renaissance. He reached out to friends he had distanced himself from, mending relationships that had frayed under the strain of his previous recklessness. With Daisy, he shared candid conversations about the future, about trust, and about building something that wasn't defined by past shadows. It wasn't an instant fix. Trust, like respect, had to be earned. But for the first time in a long time, Daniel felt optimistic. Of course, a fresh start wouldn't be complete without confronting old wounds. A chance encounter with Lily at Crimson and Cream reminded him of unresolved feelings. She was radiant, confident, and unmistakably, still a part of his emotional landscape. They shared polite conversation, but beneath the surface lay unspoken words and lingering regrets. Daniel realized that moving forward didn't mean erasing the past. It meant acknowledging it, learning from it, and letting it guide his choices rather than dictate them. One afternoon, as Daniel was leaving the office, he found himself standing in front of the Genoa City Community Center. Memories flooded back, times when he had volunteered, connected with locals, and felt a sense of purpose beyond wealth and family feuds. Inspired, he decided to dedicate part of his time to mentoring at-risk youth, showing them that mistakes didn't define a person and that resilience was a skill anyone could cultivate. The act of giving back, of being a positive force in someone else's life, reinforced his commitment to change. As weeks turned into months, Daniel's life began to feel like a mosaic of deliberate choices and careful planning. His career flourished, his relationships strengthened, his self-esteem grew. Even Adam, persistent in his antagonism, had no choice but to acknowledge Daniel's growth, though he never admitted it outright. For Daniel, recognition wasn't the goal. It was the tangible proof that transformation was possible when effort, integrity, and patience aligned. The culmination of Daniel's fresh start came unexpectedly. A gala at Newman Enterprises, celebrating innovation and community involvement, became the stage for a defining moment. Daniel, standing before a crowd of executives and community leaders, delivered a speech that was heartfelt, genuine, and resonant. He spoke of mistakes, of lessons learned, of the importance of resilience, and of the value of giving others, and oneself, a second chance. The applause that followed wasn't just for his eloquence. It was for the journey he had undertaken, the authenticity he had reclaimed, and the courage to embrace a new beginning. Later that evening, as Daniel and Daisy walked through the twinkling streets of Genoa City, he felt a profound sense of peace. The city that had once felt like a labyrinth of betrayal and heartbreak now seemed like a canvas of opportunity. Is once again a city teetering on the edge of chaos. The Newman Empire, long a cornerstone of power and influence in the town, is facing turbulence from within, and this time, the storm comes in the form of a clash that fans have anticipated for years. Jack Newman versus his father, Victor Newman. With power, pride, and family loyalty at stake, the simmering tension between father and son is about to explode, leaving consequences that will reverberate through every corner of Genoa City. For decades, Victor Newman has been the unchallenged king of Newman Enterprises. A titan of industry, a master strategist, and a man whose influence reaches far beyond boardrooms, Victor has built his empire on ruthlessness and a tireless drive to succeed. Yet, with all his power, Victor has often struggled with his relationships, particularly with his children. Jack, the eldest son, has always lived in the shadow of his father's ambitions and has sought to prove himself not just as a Newman, but as a man of independent strength. Recently, Jack has taken bold steps to assert his authority. As CEO of his own ventures, he's cultivated a reputation for integrity, sharp business instincts, and a willingness to stand up to corruption. But when Victor's relentless drive intersects with Jack's ethical approach, sparks are inevitable. The tension began simmering quietly, hidden beneath the polished veneer of family dinners and boardroom handshakes, but it has now reached a boiling point. The catalyst for the current clash was a high-stakes merger involving Newman Enterprises and Chancellor Industries. Victor, ever the master manipulator, had quietly orchestrated the merger to consolidate his control over the market. Jack, however, had his own vision. He wanted the merger to prioritize ethical business practices, employee welfare, and long-term sustainability, rather than short-term dominance. His stance directly challenged Victor's tactics, and the confrontation was inevitable. The first signs of conflict appeared during a tense board meeting. Victor, as expected, wielded his authority with precision, presenting data, projections, and strategies to convince the board to follow his lead. Jack, however, refused to be sidelined. With calm determination, he outlined his alternative plan, highlighting the risks of Victor's aggressive approach and the potential backlash from shareholders and regulators. Victor's response was classic Newman, a mixture of intimidation, sharp wit, and barely restrained anger. Jack, you've always been naive when it comes to the real world. Business isn't about morality, it's about power, influence, and survival. You think you can play by the rules and come out on top? I built this empire by making tough choices, and you should learn from that. Jack, refusing to back down, shot back, Dad, power without responsibility is a recipe for disaster. You've built an empire, yes, but at what cost? It's time we lead with integrity, not fear. I'm not trying to take you down. I'm trying to make sure the Newman legacy isn't destroyed because of short-sighted decisions. The boardroom was silent, tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Onlookers knew that this was more than a business disagreement. It was a battle for the soul of Newman Enterprises, a confrontation that had been brewing for decades. Outside the boardroom, the ripple effects of the clash began to spread. Employees whispered in hallways, anxious about the stability of the company. The media caught wind of the tension, with gossip columns and financial news outlets speculating about a potential family feud that could shake Genoa City to its core. Even other families in the business world, such as the Abbotts and the Chancellors, watched closely, knowing that a weakened Newman empire could shift the balance of power in the city. Adding fuel to the fire, Nikki Newman, long the peacemaker in the family, found herself caught in the middle. She understood Jack's perspective, seeing his efforts as a necessary step toward reform, but she also feared Victor's wrath and the potential fallout for the family. Nikki's heart ached as she tried to mediate, but the divide seemed too deep to bridge with mere words of caution or compromise. Meanwhile, Victor's younger children watched the feud unfold with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Victoria, who has always been astute and cautious in her dealings, tried to remain neutral, understanding that taking sides could be dangerous. Abby, on the other hand, saw Jack stand as an opportunity to assert her own voice and influence within the family. The dynamic between the Newman siblings was shifting, adding layers of complexity to an already volatile situation. The clash escalated further when Jack decided to take a bold step. He called an emergency shareholder meeting to present his vision for Newman Enterprises, directly challenging his father's authority in front of the company's investors. The tension was palpable as Jack entered the conference room, a mixture of determination and apprehension in his eyes. Victor, seated at the head of the table, exuded his usual confidence, but even he could sense that this confrontation was different. Jack's presentation was precise, well-researched, and compelling. He laid out a strategic plan that balanced profitability with ethical responsibility, demonstrating how the company could thrive without compromising its values. The investors, initially hesitant, began to murmur in approval. Jack's poise and clarity were undeniable, and for the first time, some shareholders began to question Victor's approach. Victor, refusing to show any sign of weakness, countered with his signature intensity. He projected charts, statistics, and projections that painted Jack's plan as overly cautious and potentially damaging to the company's competitive edge. His voice, deep and commanding, echoed through the room. "This isn't just about ethics, Jack. This is about survival. Newman Enterprises has thrived because we make bold moves when others hesitate. Your plan? It's safe, it's weak, and it will make us vulnerable to our competitors." The room was split, the atmosphere charged with conflict. Jack stood his ground, calmly yet firmly countering every argument, emphasizing sustainability, long-term growth, and the importance of reputation. Shareholders found themselves caught between the magnetic force of Victor's dominance and the measured logic of Jack's vision. Outside the conference room, whispers of the showdown spread like wildfire through Genoa City. News outlets speculated about the potential fracture of the Newman family and the implications for the company. Social media buzzed with discussions about whether Jack could finally take a stand against Victor's overwhelming authority. Fans of the Young and the Restless debated fiercely, with some supporting Jack's ethical approach and others admiring Victor's relentless pursuit of power. Meanwhile, personal stakes intensified the feud. Jack had long harbored feelings of resentment toward his father for the emotional distance and high expectations that had shaped his upbringing. Victor, though loving in his own way, had always demanded excellence, often at the cost of family warmth and personal relationships. Jack's stand in the boardroom was more than a business move. It was a declaration of independence, a demand for respect, and an assertion that he would not live in Victor's shadow. Was buzzing with tension as it often did, but today felt different. There was a heaviness in the air, a mix of anticipation and dread that clung to the hallways of society's most elite addresses. Nate Hastings, usually the picture of composure and charm, was noticeably uneasy. For weeks he had carried a secret so heavy it had started to weigh on him, pulling at every moment of his day, twisting interactions with those he cared about. Today he knew he couldn't avoid the inevitable. He had to fess up. Nate's morning had started like any other, or at least he had tried to convince himself of that. His apartment was quiet, eerily so, and he couldn't bring himself to eat breakfast. He stared blankly at the mug of coffee in his hands, its steam swirling up as if mocking him with its carefree dance. His mind replayed every misstep, every lie, every moment he had chosen silence over truth. It had begun innocently enough. A small cover-up, a white lie meant to protect someone else. Nate Hastings, as noble as he often was, had a tendency to try and shield people from pain, even if it meant absorbing that pain himself. But one lie had led to another, and another, until the fabric of his carefully maintained facade had started to unravel. And now the truth was a ticking time bomb, one that could explode at any second, leaving devastation in its wake. He knew the first person he had to confront, Amanda Sinclair. She was strong, intelligent, and fiercely loyal, but she was also unforgiving when it came to deception. Nate had seen it before, in situations where he had bent the truth for what he thought were good reasons. But this time, the stakes were higher and the consequences more personal. As he drove to Amanda's office, the streets of Genoa City seemed to blur together. Every red light felt like a judgment, every honking horn a reminder of his pending confession. He rehearsed his words repeatedly, trying to find a balance between honesty and preservation, between accountability and self-protection. But no matter how he shaped them, they sounded inadequate. Amanda was at her desk, focused on a pile of paperwork when Nate arrived. Her eyes lifted, meeting his with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "Nate," she said, her voice calm but pointed. "You look like you've seen a ghost. What's going on?" He swallowed hard, his throat dry. "Amanda, we need to talk. It's about everything that's happened over the past few weeks." Her brow furrowed. "Everything? Nate, you're scaring me." He took a deep breath, his hands gripping the edge of her desk. "I've been lying. I haven't been honest about some things. And I won't keep pretending anymore. You deserve the truth." The words hung in the air, heavy and oppressive. Amanda's expression shifted from concern to surprise, then to guarded suspicion. "Lying? About what?" Nate closed his eyes for a brief moment, steeling himself. "About my involvement with the Hastings family estate funds. I made some mistakes. I tried to cover them up. I thought I could handle it on my own, but I can't. I need to fess up, and I need to do it before it gets worse." Amanda's eyes widened. "Nate, this is serious. Why didn't you come to me sooner?" He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident in his gestures. I was scared. I didn't want to disappoint you or my family. I thought I could fix it before anyone found out. But the truth has a way of coming out, Amanda. And I'd rather it come from me than from someone else. For a moment, there was silence. Amanda studied him intently, searching his face for signs of deceit. Nate met her gaze, unwavering, desperate for her to understand the sincerity of his confession. Finally, she spoke, her voice softer now. Nate, I appreciate your honesty. Really, I do. But you have to understand how much this shakes the trust I've placed in you. How are you planning to make things right? He nodded, relief washing over him that she hadn't walked out or yelled at him. I don't know yet, but I'm going to start by coming clean to everyone involved. No more hiding, no more lies. I'll face the consequences, whatever they are. I can't undo what I did, but I can take responsibility for it. Amanda reached out, placing a hand on his shoulder. That's the first step, Nate. The hardest step. But it's also the most important. You have to be ready for the fallout. Nate nodded again, his heart heavy but resolute. I am. I have to be. The first confession was just the beginning. As Nate left Amanda's office, he knew he had another conversation waiting. One that would be even harder. Devin Hamilton. Nate had always admired Devin for his intelligence, his empathy, and his unwavering moral compass. But now he would have to shatter the trust Devin had placed in him. He found Devin at Crimson Lights, headphones on, scribbling notes in a small notebook. The moment Nate entered, Devin looked up, curiosity flickering across his face. Nate! Hey, what's up? You look troubled. Nate swallowed hard. Devin, can we talk? Somewhere private. Devin nodded, pulling off his headphones. Of course. What's going on? Once they were seated in a quiet corner, Nate took a deep breath. Devin, I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you weeks ago. I made some decisions, bad ones. And I tried to cover them up. I was wrong and I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt anyone, least of all you. Devin's brow furrowed, concern and confusion mingling in his expression. Nate, you're scaring me. What decisions? What are you talking about? Nate's hands trembled slightly as he reached into his jacket pocket, pulling out a folder. It's all here. The mistakes I made with the Hastings family estate. The things I did to cover them up. I need you to know the truth before it spirals out of control. Devin took the folder, flipping through its contents. His eyes widened as he absorbed the information. Nate, this is a lot. I don't even know where to start. I know, Nate said quietly. And I don't expect forgiveness right away. I need to be honest. I can't live with these lies anymore. Not with you, not with anyone I care about. Devin leaned back, his mind racing. Nate, this is serious. You could be facing legal consequences. And it's going to take time for everyone to process this. But I appreciate you telling me. That counts for something. Nate nodded, a mix of relief and fear coursing through him. I just want to do the right thing. I want to fix this, even if it takes everything I have. Meanwhile, word of Nate's confession began to spread through Genoa City like wildfire. By the end of the day, the Hastings family gathered at their estate, tension crackling in the air. Nate stood in the center of the room, facing his family, his heart pounding in his chest. Nate, his mother began, her voice trembling. Is it true? Everything you told Amanda and Devin? Nate swallowed hard. Yes, Mom. It's true. I made mistakes. I tried to cover them up. I was scared and I thought I could handle it on my own. But I was wrong. I should have trusted you, trusted everyone. I'm sorry. His father's expression was stern, but not unkind. Nate, we're disappointed. But we also appreciate your honesty. That counts for something. It doesn't erase the mistakes, but it's a start. His sister, meanwhile, was silent, her eyes brimming with tears. I don't know what to say. I'm hurt, Nate. Really hurt. But I'm glad you came forward. Genoa City is about to explode with tension next week on The Young and the Restless, as alliances shatter, secrets unravel, and hearts are tested in ways fans won't soon forget. From the Newman Mansion to Chancellor Industries, it's shaping up to be a week of high-stakes drama where no one is safe from the fallout of lies and betrayal. Victor Newman's power plays take a dangerous turn. Victor Newman continues to assert his dominance, but next week, his control over Genoa City may be slipping. The patriarch's recent machinations to corner the Newman empire have raised more than a few eyebrows, particularly from those closest to him. Rumor has it Victor will confront Michael over a potentially explosive secret, and the encounter could bring father and son to the brink of a full-blown feud. Will Michael finally stand up to Victor, or will he buckle under the weight of loyalty and fear? Meanwhile, Victor's influence in the corporate world is also on shaky ground. Someone from within his inner circle may be leaking information, putting his carefully crafted plans at risk. With the walls closing in, Victor will need to make a ruthless choice that could either cement his legacy or destroy it. Fans can expect a showdown filled with biting dialogue, tense silences, and perhaps even a surprise betrayal from an unexpected source. Adam Newman's turbulent path. Adam Newman's life has been a roller coaster of redemption and deceit, and next week promises more twists for the troubled Newman son. Sources suggest that Adam will find himself caught between love and loyalty as tensions rise between him and Victor. A risky move on Adam's part could backfire spectacularly, threatening not only his career, but also his personal relationships. Chelsea may find herself in the eye of the storm, forced to navigate Adam's decisions and the consequences that follow. Will their relationship survive the mounting pressure? Or is this the beginning of a fracture that could change Genoa City's power dynamics forever? One thing is certain, Adam's next move will have fans on the edge of their seats. Claire and Kyle, love and loyalty tested. The budding romance between Claire and Kyle is facing unprecedented challenges. With Claire's career and personal life under scrutiny, next week will test the couple's commitment to each other. Rumors suggest a confrontation between Claire and another key figure could shake the foundation of her relationship with Kyle. Fans will see emotional confrontations that tug at the heartstrings, highlighting just how vulnerable love can be in a world filled with secrets and schemes. Adding to the tension, Jack Abbott may step in with advice, or interference, that could complicate matters further. His involvement might be well-intentioned, but his timing is questionable. As pressures mount, Claire and Kyle will be forced to navigate not just external threats, but also internal doubts that could redefine their future together. Shocking twists for Mariah and Tessa. Mariah Copeland and Tessa Porter are also facing a week filled with emotional turbulence. Tessa's past choices may come back to haunt her, threatening her relationship with Mariah. A shocking revelation could put their trust to the ultimate test, leaving fans questioning whether the couple can weather the storm. Meanwhile, Mariah may uncover something about her family that shakes her to the core. Security footage or a hidden secret could spark a confrontation that leaves the audience breathless. Will Mariah rise above the chaos, or will the weight of family drama push her to her breaking point? This storyline promises to be one of the most gripping arcs of the week. Ivy Forrester's dangerous moves. Across town, Ivy Forrester is on a mission that could have major consequences for those around her. Her recent schemes and manipulations have already caused ripples through the community, and next week, she may take things a step too far. A confrontation with Steffi or another key figure could escalate, leading to unexpected fallout. Fans can expect a battle of wits and wills, with Ivy attempting to assert control in situations that are rapidly slipping out of her hands. Will she manage to hold her ground, or will her plans unravel, leaving her vulnerable to the very people she sought to manipulate? This storyline is sure to deliver suspense, drama, and a touch of scandal. Family feuds and emotional reckonings. Family dynamics are at the heart of Genoa City's turmoil, and next week will see tempers flare and relationships tested. Expect explosive arguments, heartfelt confessions, and moments of vulnerability that reveal just how fragile trust can be. Characters like Nikki Newman and Phyllis Summers may find themselves mediating conflicts, but even their efforts may not prevent disaster. As secrets come to light, fans can anticipate a cascade of emotional reckonings that leave lasting impacts on multiple families. The drama promises to tug at the heart while keeping viewers glued to the screen. Unexpected alliances and betrayals. Next week won't just be about old rivalries. New alliances may emerge in surprising ways. Characters who previously seemed at odds may join forces to face common threats, creating unexpected twists that keep viewers guessing. At the same time, betrayal looms large. With so many secrets ready to surface, no character is safe. Fans can expect shocking double-crosses, deceptive moves, and cunning strategies that will redefine loyalties and relationships across Genoa City. It's a reminder that in this town, trust is always fragile, and anyone can be the next target of a plot twist. Cliffhangers that will leave fans reeling. As the week unfolds, expect cliffhangers that will have viewers talking long after the episode's end. Whether it's a secret exposed, a relationship tested, or a power struggle reaching its boiling point, The Young and the Restless is delivering a week full of jaw-dropping moments. Fans can look forward to surprises that will leave them speculating about what comes next, and eagerly awaiting each new episode. From heart-stopping confrontations to emotional upheavals and shocking betrayals, next week in Genoa City promises to be unforgettable. Every character will be pushed to their limits, and no storyline is safe from twists and turns. For loyal viewers, it's a week not to miss. Emotions will run high, alliances will crumble, and the consequences of choices made will reverberate across every corner of the city. In short, next week's Young and the Restless episodes are packed with drama, suspense, and unforgettable moments that will leave fans talking for weeks. Secrets will be revealed, loyalties will be tested, and the residents of Genoa City will face challenges that could change their lives forever. One thing is certain, viewers are in for a wild ride.